a number of things left to get to on today's program.
20, 30, whatever it is, 10, nobody knows.
Let's get back to the Rob Dibble Show.
Here we go. Mike's hot.
Back, Rob Dibble Show from Blackhall Country Club out here in Old Lyme. A little bit spicy today, probably about 95 degrees. And
a little spicy.
Joined on the set now by Bill Bigler. He is part of CSGA. He's running the event for the Connecticut Open. And let me just start with, first of all, I know I asked this last week of somebody with the CSGA. How do you pick the courses? I know you do it in advance, but what do you look for? Because some of the players that we talk to say this is one of the more challenging courses.
Absolutely. You want a course that, first of all, is long enough. It's a pretty good component and has enough competitive features to it and is in good enough condition. So there aren't a lot of courses necessarily in the area that meet all that criteria. And for an event like this, Connecticut Open, you really want kind of the best courses in the area. And this is certainly one of them.
Now, you are on the Connecticut State Golf Association board. You're responsible for the administration of World Handicap and the World Handicap system. So you're like a guy that goes out there and basically grades a course and tells me how hard it is?
That is correct.
How'd you get that gig?
It's a good job, right? Yeah, it's a full-time job. So I'm the Director of Member Services, responsible for handicapping and course rating. And handicapping, of course, anyone who has a handicap knows that it's a way to compete on an equitable basis, a way to determine how an individual round ranks on your own performance and track your own individual performance. And the basis of that is really the course rating system. So volunteers that are certified and trained, and they go out to courses. We do about one course a week in the state, about 18 a year. And we, first of all, measure the length of the golf course, tee to green, from each tee. And then we adjust that for changes in elevation, forced layups, dog legs, that kind of thing. We come up with an effective playing length. And
so then everything has a point or like a score on it?
So there are then 10 obstacles that are evaluated, and it is literally a scale of 1 to 10 for... You go to the landing area based on a standard shot length of a scratch golfer versus a bogey golfer. You measure the fairway width, proximity to bunkers in the landing zone, proximity to the lateral areas, size of the green, the length of the approach shot. There are a bunch of different factors, all rated on a scale of 1 to 10. And then it's all thrown into a system. They're weighted, and that's what comes up with the course rating, the bogey rating, and the slope.
Talking to Bill Bigler, CSGA, how about clubs and regulations on stuff like that? I mean, are you guys checking their whole bag before a tournament? Are you counting the number of clubs, stuff like that? I mean, being a former major leaguer, nobody really regulates their bats. I mean, these guys are jacking.
As far as, there's rules more than 14 clubs in your bag. So one of the things we've had situations where a guy, throws his kid's club in the bag or something, doesn't realize it, gets called out 2 holes later, 4 strokes worth of penalties.
Dang.
Okay.
That happens. Okay. As far as
I'd quit. I'd totally quit. I'm done. I can't take this.
Kid.
I know.
He threw his club in there.
Oh yeah. As far as club compliance goes, the USGA has parameters around what is a complying club or a club in compliance. Most of the clubs from major manufacturers obviously are compliant. If there's a question, we can actually pull a club, send it to the USGA after whether there was an issue or not. So it's kind of like looking for a corked bat, I guess, or something.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, you're telling me this before we started here in the interview, because I'm always wondering, like, whenever I see, the handicap list 1 through 18 on a course, like, why was this one handicap number 1? This is supposed to be the hardest hole. Why is this one 18? I doubled that. That shouldn't have been an 18. Like, is it a combination of your ratings of, like, what it's supposed to be and maybe, like, a bunch of the members to have some cognac and actually, voting on this kind of thing?
Yeah, it's kind of all of that. It varies. It's really up to the club to rank
that's
the holes.
awesome. I'm glad you said that there is some
oh, absolutely.
Some basement action.
And
with
it is a common misconception that the number one handicap hole is the hardest golf hole in the golf course.
It's not?
Not necessarily. It's the hole where the bogey golfer, as defined under the system, requires a stroke or would need the stroke the most. So if you're playing a match against a buddy, you want there's going to be a scoring gap. So if you look at average score on a hole for the bogey and the scratch golfer, that's where the bogey golfer needs the stroke more. And then it's odds on the front, evens on the back typically. And the USGA also has a system, they call it the triad system, which is where you want your number one handicap hole to be in the middle 3 holes because you want a chance to use it. You don't want it on number 9. You might be closed out of your match by then. So,
as a former member of a club around here, why you need 10 cards to gain a handicap that you have to hand in.
Yeah, actually.
And how they figure that out.
Yeah, under the World Handicap System, which came out in 2020, you only need 54 holes to get a handicap established.
Okay.
It also updates every night that you post a score. So it's a lot more responsive than it used to be. And then your handicap index is the best differential, and I'll explain that in a second, but it's the average of your 8 lowest differentials out of your most recent 20 scores. So basically, you take your most recent 20 scores. Every score has a differential, which is essentially a measure of how good that score was against the course rating and slope. And shoot 88 at Rockledge and the 90 at TPC is a better score because it's a harder golf course. So flex that. If you look at any individual score that you post in the system and you look at that differential, that's basically what handicap index you played to that round.
Fascinating.
I know.
Thank you for
It's
that.
fascinating,
Okay,
dude.
now I understand. I get it. But
Yeah. There's a lot to it, but my message really is you don't have to worry about that. Just post your scores and use the app and
let it fall as how it
Okay.
falls.
Yeah.
Okay. Black Hall Club. What do you rate this, sir, as far as toughest courses in Connecticut? Where does this one fall?
That's a good question. I mean, this one is up there. I would say possibly in the top 10. It certainly is a challenging course to play. It doesn't necessarily look it, but it just is. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Greens are tough, and there's some long holes, and it just plays difficult. So,
talking to Bill Bigler from CSGA. Okay, as far as some of the amateurs and stuff like that, how do you allow different pros to come in versus the amateurs and things like that? How do we get this field of 150 players?
Yeah, sure. So it is an open, which means that any pro can apply or try to qualify. So we run about half a dozen different 600 people that have tried to play in this event. We have a certain number of exempt players based on past performance. The amateurs will have a handicap index requirement of probably, I'm going to guess, 3.5 or better. I'm not exactly sure. I'd have to look that up. But they'll all go out and try to qualify, and at each of our qualifiers, we'll take a certain number of players, and in they come. So the pros come from all over. We get club pros, we get touring pros, we get a variety of people, mostly regionally, but you get some outliers. If you look at the roster, there's some people from the Midwest and down south. A lot of guys from Florida who spend their winters down there doing what they do, and then they come up here and play in the summer.
So you were telling us today we're gonna play straight up the way the cards fell, the way you were paired up. Tomorrow, flip flop. If you started on 10, you start on 1.
Correct.
Wednesday, we're cutting it down to how much?
40 in ties.
40 things at the very top of the tippy top. Is there a prize in here besides the pride points that you get for Connecticut Open?
The purse is $75,000, and I believe top pro will get $15,000. We'll pay out a number of the pros. So, as a pro, if you make the cut, you're pretty much going to get your entry fee back and maybe a little more, I think. That's really kind of up to Ryan, who I know you've talked to in the past.
Yes.
But, there's money involved for sure.
What about the caddies? How do you
What
get the
about
caddies? I mean, these amateurs don't have their own caddies, things like that.
they
I mean,
do.
are you? Oh, they do.
Well,
Well,
Jackson
they bring a
Roman,
buddy, right?
Jackson Roman had his sister, right? He went with his sister.
Mr. Kenna is a boat ride intern with us this year, and they bring. Usually, it's a buddy or a friend
Okay,
or a
so
family
they bring
member or a
their own?
dad. There's some dads out here
Okay.
that hoof it around.
Well, I said that because, I've golfed in a number around this region. Let's say Wingfoot, and they have a lot of caddies that are from the country club that help you a lot. You know, if you're somebody, especially like me, that's a hacker, they're like, okay, you don't want to use that club. You want to try to lay it up here, whatever. I mean, that's more of where I was going with that question.
These guys will come down here, and there are a lot of people that have played this course a lot of times for various events. We've had the Connecticut Amateur here. We've had other events here. We have a 2-man here every year, and so they'll get exposure that way. They'll also get a practice round before this event.
Okay.
And they'll come out and they'll do whatever it is they do on a practice round, and however it is they look at a golf course. And like I mentioned, a lot of these guys, maybe it's a college teammate that caddies for them. It could be a family member. It could be a brother. It could be somebody they just grew up with and play golf with. And you'll see a lot of the same caddies with a lot of the same players.
And this is a free event. Anyone can come out here and you can be a spectator.
Absolutely.
And so you can just walk alongside your favorite player, or just watch some golf, or just pop a spot and see your favorite hole.
Absolutely. There's a lot of good golf out here, and it's until you mentioned watching these, you don't really guys.
And how bad you are.
Yeah,
That's
right.
like I said to Ben,
Totally.
I'm an ex-major league player, and I'm like, I don't even know if I want to play golf
So do you have
anymore.
a handicap index?
About 18.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
Maybe you're not.
Because we don't play that much.
No,
I
I don't
mean,
either. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's hard.
The one thing I've noticed, Bill, is like we're at Travelers every year, and we watch, like Dib said, we're right by the practice round, and we watch these guys, for a whole week, and the obsession that they have and how they hit the ball. The gap between these guys and those guys feels like it's pretty big. I can't see it on the driving range.
Right.
I don't understand where it is.
Right. I think if you look at kind of the scoring averages across the various tours as you go down, and the difference between making it and not making it, they're pretty small.
Right.
You're talking half a stroke or something between being on the PGA Tour or being on the
Oh no, I had a
tour.
friend that was on the Nike tour, and he told me, he said a lot of it was mental, just like baseball's 95% mental, because these guys are very similar. He said he couldn't make big putts.
Right.
He couldn't. He became
Right.
Michelle McGann's caddy.
Right.
And so I can attest to that. I mean, a lot of sports is mental, and I would think tennis and golf are two, because you're your own company.
Right.
You're your own corporation. All these other people depend on you being good. I think that's an immense amount of pressure.
Yeah, at the CSGA, a lot of us have been doing this. I've been doing this for 15 years, and we've got people that have been doing it for 20 more. And so we see a lot of the same players year over year. And when we look at our tournament players, we've got probably a couple of thousand regular players that kind of come through, and you see them as juniors, and then you see them as young amateurs, and some of them turn pro, some of them come back as amateurs, and all of that. And it's really interesting to watch, because you can we know these players to the point where we'll know where a potential weakness is in their game, maybe, and how they struggle or how they try to work on it, and some of the things that they do to try to work around it. So it's a lot like watching a major league player. You get an understanding of maybe this guy struggles,
Listen, John Smoltz had to have his psychologist sit directly behind home plate in a certain colored shirt, or he couldn't take them out. So think about that.
Yeah,
I mean, these guys all talk about swing coaches and stuff like that. I know the big leaguers have them now.
Yeah.
We didn't have them in my day because Pete Rose was my manager and stuff like that. But for these guys, I think they need like a psychologist more than a swing coach.
Yeah.
I think they know their swings.
Yeah. I wonder if Bill Buckner plays golf, but
I bet you it's a lot less nerve-wracking.
Exactly. The ball can't go through his legs.
Now, Jackson Roman wins last year. He's the first amateur, I think, 93.
That's
like that can come out of New Britain and then win this thing.
He's good. Bottom line is he's a good player, and if you really want to see kind of an interesting tournament, the Connecticut Amateur it's 5 days. It's 2 days of stroke play, and then we cut to a bracket of 32. And so these guys will play, 36 holes of golf, and then they'll get into match play. And they're playing 2 matches a day. And the winner of that tournament will have played, 36 holes plus 2 matches a day for 3 days. The final match is 36 holes. And it's a mental challenge. It's a physical challenge. Yeah. And these guys are good. And mostly younger players that, win that event, mostly college age players, that kind of thing. But it's a grind for sure. And anybody that can do that can come out and do well in this event. And one thing I've come to appreciate is how hard it is to win a golf tournament.
Yeah.
We've got guys who are really good.
Yeah.
And just over time, difficult.
Bill, thank you so much for your time. It was fascinating. We appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
All
Thanks.
right. We'll be right back on the Rob Dibble Show with Ben Darnell in your afternoon drive live from Blackhall.